Yo, what's good, y'all? It's Dane with another episode of Subject to Change. This is episode 2. I took some notes. It's been a crazy week. Things have been going on. Let's just get right into it. Dark Lamont Hill versus Queenz Flip on the Joe Budden podcast. Okay, let's just get straight in. AKA Dark Lamont, with my boy Queenz Flip. So for this one, I took notes because there's so many layers to this, and we are going to unpack this. We might actually be here for a while. So if you don't like the Joe Budden podcast, you might want to skip. I put the little chapters and whatnot. You can do what you got to do with that because this is going to be a little bit of a while. So let's just get into it, right? Queenz Flip versus Marc. They get into this escalated, really aggressive, conversation. Well, aggressive is debatable depending on where you're from. To me, it was like, it definitely got there, but it wasn't what people was making it out to be. But in general, they went head to head with each other. The internet took that and made it so many different things, and that's why there's so many layers. So I wanted to provide a real breakdown of what happened here, because I see a lot of it feels like everybody's against Flip and everybody's with Marc just because Marc's smart. And I like Marc and I like Flip. And I was able to just watch this and see how things went down, because I actually, contrary to everyone else, believe that Flip was not the one who escalated this and made it more aggressive. In fact, I saw a lot of things about him that told me he was trying to draw it back. So let's get into, that. So first off, and this is me, reading from my notes and whatnot. So first of all, Marc takes a shot at Amani. That's how it all starts. Okay, something about his pay or his negotiations on the Joe Budden podcast. And forgive me if some of this is jumbled, but for the most part, this is pretty accurate. So he takes a slick shot. Flip is like, yo, bro, stop doing that. Don't do that to Amani. We like you. We love you up here. Like, chill out, bro. Like, why you always doing that to us? Save that energy for, the people that hate or whatever. Joe gets messy at some point and says something along the lines of like, Marc asked for more money in a way that was like, I don't care where you get it from. Like, if you gotta take it from others, it is what it is type of way. I don't know if he actually said that, but Marc didn't necessarily deny it. He kind of doubled down on it. He didn't say like, I want you to take money from such and such. He just said, hey, I need more money. Find it how you find it, right? If we're talking about being a team player, comes off a little bit like not being a team player. I'm with it because I do believe what Marc was saying as far as like different people have different values and things like that. And so if someone has to take a pay cut in order to give to someone else that adds more value, it is what it is. So I'm not against Marc. I'm not against Marc in general. I just think he's the aggressor in this whole situation. So then they get into the conversation about Flip being a team player. Flip believes he is a team player. Debatable, but I see it in the sense, but also debatable, because you can't fight everybody that comes on and then also be a team player, or maybe you can, but it looks away. So my timeline gets a little janky from here. Like, some stuff might have happened a little bit before or after, but for the most part, it's on. So Flip details how he thinks he's a team player. Basically, he says that if Joe told him to sit down for a minute, he would be down to do that for the squad if it meant taking it to the next level, right? Like, I did take it like he was saying he would potentially take a pay cut, because like sitting out to me means missing like a pod, which I think they get paid by the pod, right? So if you sit out, you're losing money. So I think that's what Flip was trying to say. Like, I bought into that, at least, right? Everybody else seems to understand what he said, though, or a few people. So Jay Wan kind of clarifies what that means, or he just brought up like taking a pay cut. Marc says, oh, thanks, guys, for saying it in English. So this is another shot at Flip and his intelligence. And Flip is not feeding into it, but you could tell, like, this is not something you have to watch later to pick up on. Flip sees it, right? Marc says, yo, I just flat out, I don't believe you. Like, you're not a team player because I'm on your team, and you don't even believe I'm on your team. Because Flip actually says that. He's like, no, you're not on my team, or whatever the case may be. So, kind of proving Marc's point a little bit there. But then Marc gets extra condescending from there, right? And he's like, he lists all the ways that Flip is not a team player in the way that he is the team player. So it's like, oh yeah, of course you don't start fights with everybody that comes in, or you starve for attention, or you fight for space, blah, blah. No, that's not you. You don't like, so it's already condescending, right? Marc says something along the lines like, yeah, that's why Joe brought you here. to Mona to be funny. And then he's like, and he brought Flip and he cuts himself off and he lets other people speak, but he wasn't really cut off. And that's another shot, bro. Like, he's trying to say something without saying something. He's alluding, and we'll get to tricky words later at some point. Flip re-engages with this, right? And they start the debate. They do start to get loud. Marc alludes to like kind of keeping Flip's secrets, but I think in real time, he saw that might have been messy. So he clarifies. He says, I'm not talking about Flip's personal life, just in case people want to run with that maybe and start talking about like Flip doing something on the side. Like, you know how people just be chatting stuff they don't know nothing about. And I think that Marc picked up on that. So he clarified it right there. Hey, I'm not talking about Flip's personal life here. So at some point, Flip gets to that point where we talk about tricky words, right? And I think people are taking clips of this stuff, and we'll get into clip culture later because that's one thing too. But people are taking this moment and using the tricky words, and then Marc's response was fire. They're not tricky words, they're just tricky to you, or whatever he said. That was fire. But people are taking that and making it the moment, and that's not the moment. When they were talking and what this conversation's context was, is that Flip feels like Marc says sly stuff to everybody, which Marc says sly stuff to everybody. I am entertained by it, but we can't ignore it and deny it, right? Like, he's done it to Amani and they've got heated. He's done it to Mel before. I'm sure he takes little shots at Joe. He takes shots at everybody in a slick way. And sometimes it's so smooth that people don't catch on to it, or it might even be so obscure sometimes. Like the Harold's Chicken Shack with Amani and the venue and stuff. It feels like Ice was the only one that got that or knew where that chicken shack was. I didn't know. So that was a slick shot that was so obscure that most wouldn't catch on to it. Or maybe it's not obscure. Like I said, I don't know it. Maybe a lot of people know it. But in general, it was a slick shot that nobody caught. So that's what Flip means by tricky words. He's not saying you're using big syllable words. He's saying you're being tricky, shady. That's just how he expresses himself, or at least how I took it. So then Marc hits him with well, wait, you're saying that I'm being slick or shady, or I'm trying to gain favor? Because at some point Flip says, oh, you try and gain favor with stuff. I'm guessing he's talking about like the Ian and Marc show or something. I think that's cool. So Marc's like, oh, advertising the show, like our job, that's slick stuff. I think they're having two different conversations, right? And they're trying to debate each other. So somebody's trying to win. Flip's trying to make his point. Marc's trying to make his point. They're not necessarily talking about the same thing in this moment. And then Flip says, you know, that's some sucker shit. This is where everything escalates, right? And Marc says this later on, that it's because of the energy behind the word and not necessarily the word itself. But this is where it escalates. And even in the escalation, I'm seeing Marc is in the wrong on this one, because as soon as Flip sees that this word has set off Marc in this way, he starts to back off, or his voice gets lighter. Now people are taking that as like, oh yeah, he's a punk, he's a chump. But to me, I took it as he's de-escalating the situation. He sees, oh, my man's or somebody I work with or somebody I'm at least cool with and respect to a certain extent is getting bent out of shape over this word. So I'm going to say, I wasn't calling you that. I was just saying you was doing that. Now, whether it's semantics or not, I think he's backing off, and Marc is escalating himself, right? So Flip's gotten quieter. Marc's gotten louder, right? Flip gets up. Then Marc gets up, but on fight mode, if you look at Flip's body language, right, he gets up and he puts his right hand in his pocket. Now, under circumstances where you don't know people, that hand in that pocket look crazy because what do you have in that pocket? But we're going to assume that you can't just bring burners to Joe Budden's podcast, right? So he puts his right hand, which I think is Flip's dominant hand, right? So again, if we're thinking by these street rules of, oh, if you get up, then I'm going to get up because I'm not going to let you get me first. My hand is in here. You know I don't have a weapon on me. If that's my dominant hand is going to get pulled up in my sweater. I'm not trying to fight you, bro. I'm just trying to talk. And I think that Marc escalated this even before that. The things he was saying sounded like threats. So even when number one, he's the one escalating. He's becoming more and more aggressive. Flip is becoming more and more soft tone, right? And then he says, everybody hold on, everybody relax. So now he looks like he's de-escalating the situation, but he's the one who's escalating. So you can't be the aggressor and say, everybody calm down. Like, but calm down, bro. Like, but calm down, bro. Like, you can't do that at the same time. So I thought that was just a weird situation. And as they're getting heated, Marc says, fuck you. But he says it Like, you know, he means it, and everybody goes, whoa, like everybody's reading this like for what it is with his energy. And Flip says, yeah, I could take that as to say, like, these are just words. We're not there. So this whole time, like, I'm seeing Marc as the one who is being the aggressor in the situation. He's triggered by these words or the energy behind these words, but the words that he uses towards people and how he takes the little slick shots is saying that Flip is dumb. And if Flip has some type of complex about that or some insecurity around his intelligence, then you are using the same type of energy that you're saying Flip is using towards you. So I didn't think that was right. Marc has talked about it since, obviously, and these are mature people. Like, they can come to agreements. And like I said, like, you ain't been through nothing if you ain't never been through a heated exchange. Like, if you're getting crazy over that, then whatever. And even if you're watching body language here, Amani walks over. Amani can feel that type of energy, so he's trying to calm him down. Marc's getting more hype off of that. Everybody's looking at Marc. When Marc is doing things, that's when everybody is reacting like, whoa, whoa. So he is the aggressor. He is the one who was more energetic. He is the one who, I would say, in this situation, escalated things further. People may disagree. It is what it is. That's what I feel from watching it. I watched it a couple times just to see, and I didn't just watch it from that moment. I brought it back a little bit just to see these exchanges, which is how I caught the Imani exchange where Flip stood up for Imani and was like, stop doing that, bro. So take from it what you will, and boy, have people taken stuff from it. And that's kind of moving into the other stuff. So then it became a big conversation about intellectuals versus non-intellectuals. And I think a lot of people that are participating in this are on the non-intellectuals, right? Like, I even think that most people are of average intelligence in America, right? Like, or maybe a little bit above, but probably on that line. So if you think about that and you're saying that Flip is dumb, which I'm not, I'm just saying if you're saying Flip is dumb, you're probably on the same intelligence level as Flip, which is why you can comprehend what he's saying to disagree with it. But when Marc speaks, you're probably just as confused, and you go, but he's a smart guy, so I'm gonna go with him. And that's what I'm seeing a lot of in this conversation about intellectuals and non-intellectuals. And then to go on further, there are podcasters who are saying Marc shouldn't even be on that podcast with those ignorant types of people. How silly is that? If Marc is as intelligent as we think he is, which I think he is, why wouldn't we want his message on this podcast that's reaching these people who y'all are saying are dumb? Why wouldn't we want him to teach? I've learned things from Marc. It looks like Marc's learned things from them and from this audience, giving feedback and things like that. So why wouldn't you want that? That, to me, that's that pseudo intelligence people are on. It doesn't make sense. It's counterproductive to take Marc away from that podcast. And then Joe Budden on the podcast, the last podcast, he addresses all of it. But the one thing I want to take from what he said is Marc's been out of a job for a while, or away from CNN or wherever he was for a while. A black media entertainment company signed him. That's me, Joe Budden. Where were y'all? And that's all the call out you need. People want to critique stuff, but where were y'all? And I'm not talking about the audience. I'm talking about the podcasters. You could have called Marc up. You could have gave Marc a job. You could have paid Marc, but Joe did it. And whatever his reason is, to me, I think he knew Marc would lend what he has lended, that intelligence. Did you hear his eulogy on Asada Shakur? That it was, man, like, it was great stuff. I think that's why Joe brought him over. But all of y'all having this conversation about who's smart and who's not, or they hate Marc because he's smart. They don't hate Marc because he's smart. Sometimes they just get into shit with Marc because he's taking slick shots. And Marc, I think Marc got hands, because you know what? If you slick talk like that, you gotta have hands, because people are gonna want to punch you in the face. So I'm sure Marc got them hands. But y'all just make no sense with that. You know somebody like this. You know somebody like Marc that got little shady stuff to say, and you want to snuff them. Anyways, Marc's a great dude. Like, I don't even want to make it seem like I'm hating Marc, because Marc's one of my favorite people on the show. But like, I don't think he was right in this situation. And then get into the clip culture, right? I'm having a conversation with a friend of mine, and I'm seeing this is common, right? Because we don't have the attention spans, and also we just don't care enough to go look at things sometimes, so we just go off of clips. The clips would have made you think that this is about tricky words and Flip is dumb, and people are going off clips to get context, or they're totally ignoring context. Like, yes, we can have the conversation about pseudo intellects, and we can have the conversation about intellects being with non-intellects and them not being deserving of their presence, which is weird to me, but whatever. Like, we got to talk about the clip culture. If you get everything from a clip, you're taking a piece of something, and if that's what you want to react to, or if that's how your mind is set, where you're like, well, we're just talking about this clip, so we're going to argue what's in this clip, then that's fine, but you just want to debate. But don't debate like you have full knowledge of who these people are, because you don't. And if we took just a clip of your life and put it on display at your worst moment, what would we think about you? What would we say about you? Think about whatever your lows are. I could think about my lows, and I wouldn't want you to judge me on my lows, because you would have a picture of me that isn't me. And I just wouldn't want it. So just think about that. You know, one of the things that's been heavy on my mind this week is how to stay productive when you're going through something. It's a big one. It's something that I'm working on, so I haven't perfected this. I'm speaking on it because I've been thinking on it. Pushing through pain, depression, overwhelming feelings, whatever the case may be, pushing through that to do whatever is productive for whatever you want to do. I just been thinking about that heavy because I had something that happened to me earlier in the week that, impacted me. And I was like, nah, I started the podcast. I got one episode out. I want to see how consistent I can be. I want to do this. So no matter how I feel, even right now in this moment, I'm like, I got to go do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have to push through and be productive, because something on the other side, maybe there's nothing, but I won't know if I just never complete it and I shut down. And that reminded me of a mentor of mine, a teacher of mine, a director of mine, Mrs. Lit. When I used to go to Lincoln High School, she was the performing arts teacher. She was also later my English AP teacher, and she was crazy in the best ways possible. And she was strict. She was a mentor to me, and one of the biggest lessons I think she ever taught me in my life was about compartmentalizing. I forgot. No, I didn't forget. I just don't want to say, but I'm going to say. So I was distraught over some type of relationship, and I was like in the performing arts room, because if there was anywhere you could find me when I was supposed to be in class, it was the performing arts room. And I was just there being depressed and sad over a girl crying, all that stuff. And Mrs. Lit came to find me, and she gave me what I think I needed in the moment, right? Which was not a like poor baby. It was stern. It was strict. It was get up. Get up. Cause I remember I was laying, the stage was a little bit above us. You could sit in a chair and just lay your head down. And I laid my head down, and she came in and she said, get up. I don't know what's wrong with you. I think I know what's wrong with you, because it was like, you would just know. I think I know what's wrong with you. And if this is how you're going to react to these types of situations, let me tell you, there's going to be a lot more. And this is not verbatim what she's saying. This is the message that I took from what she's saying. But she basically did say this, where it's just like, if this is going to derail your life every time, you're setting yourself up for failure. You need to learn to compartmentalize your life. And that was big for me, and it's something that I'm still working on. Like, sometimes this stuff still derails me. Sometimes it takes me off of my grind. Sometimes it shuts me down, and it shuts me out from people. And I think people need to think about it more. And I don't know if you ever watched Sherlock with Benedict Cumberbatch, whatever his name is. He has like this mind place that he goes to, and that's how I kind of started breaking up my mind, even though it's a little ghetto, so it's just plastic bins. But it's like he separates all of his thoughts and things to compile them together in these organized ways, and that's what I've done, except that it's just like some ghetto plastic bins. So I have like the work bin, where I can open and close the work bin. Then I have the creative bin and the rap bin and whatever else I want to do and whatever else I have to do in life. And I try to learn to compartmentalize those things, so that if a water leak happens in the work bin, we seal it off and we continue working in the other bins that we need to. it's tough to do. Like I said, it's something that I fall off on, but we gotta think about ways to be productive through our pain. Because if we fail to, like Mrs. Lit said, like it's gonna derail you and you're gonna be here. And like what's gonna happen to your grades? What's gonna happen to that job? What's gonna happen to your dream if you keep shutting down every time something impacts you in a negative way? Top half of this was a little crazy, a little long. If you're still with me, thanks for rocking with me. We're gonna get into something that's not funny, but it's something to think about. So a DoorDash lady said she got essayed doing a delivery. What happened was she pulled up, from what I know, right? Because details could come out later maybe that change the story, but as of what I know now, she pulls up. The instructions are leave the food at the door. Apparently homeboy left his door kind of open, not cracked, because cracked is too small, like you could see what's in there to a certain extent. And basically he was knocked out on the couch, just free balling. She says she's been essayed. The debate is pretty much, is she wrong or is he wrong? So let's get into that. Bro, I don't know what's going on. Maybe you drunk. I don't know why you would leave your door open like that, as you just have no drawers on, sitting on a couch where people can see you from your door, right? So right off rip, I want to start there. Like, that's wrong. I do not believe it's SA, though, for you to open his door more or not open his door more. It's just cracked enough, and you stick your phone in and record the man and post it. Or whatever, like, or whatever you did, like, that is not, I don't think that that's SA. If there's more details that come out that make that weird, then fine. But in this moment, he's wrong for that, because, bro, like, come on, bro. But at the same time, it's almost like you're pushing past. To see this, record, you're kind of breaking his privacy in a sense, even though the door is, like, open enough for you to see. And I would think you're right, in the sense of just like, yo, bro, like, put some pants on. Like, you ordered this food, but at the same time, you were instructed to just leave the food in the door. So you were being nosy, and maybe you were being nosy because, like, maybe you thought something wrong happened and you wanted to make sure everybody was okay. Whatever the case may be, both parties wrong, but I don't believe that that's SA. I don't know. So No King's Day. Let's get into No King's Day. About 7 million people, I think, worldwide turned out for now. That's what the numbers are. I think it's worldwide, that the 7 million. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people saying, we don't like this regime. I'm saying the word regime. Yeah. We don't like this regime. It's a protest to all that has been going on. I'm not going to get into it. You know where the world is right now, and you know what side you're on. If you're on a side, or if you're like me and you're just like, man, like, none of this is set up for my people. But there's one side that's like, at least saying something, right? So you kind of end up on that side, or just aligning because they take your plight and advertise it for marketing for their campaigns, right? So you kind of align there by people categorizing you, not necessarily because you fully support, whatever the case may be. People came out to say, yo, F you, bro, to Trump, basically. I saw a lot of the top Republicans and people from Trump's administration talking down on it or misrepresenting it. And it's what you would expect from this administration. It just is, right? Like, they spin, they lie. They say that the American things are un-American, and the un-American things are for those who love their nation. It's just what it is, bro. It's just where we are right now. I'm going to move on from it, but I think that this is a big showing across the world and across our nation of what people really think, and it is what it is. Getting to the young Republicans, though, because this is also what our nation thinks. The young Republicans, who some of them are not young, some of them are my age, and I'm not young. They went on some racist, anti-Jewish rhetoric, like, just going crazy. And that's not what I want to talk about, actually. Like, we could talk about that. Like, they're wrong. It shows what these types of people are saying behind closed doors. What I want to react to more is like JD Vance and the administration trying to downplay it, saying they're just kids. Yes, some of them are just kids. And yes, sometimes people say racist stuff. I know that I haven't said the most perfect things as a child either. So yes, sure. Let's take that. Let's say yes, but no also, because some of this is crazy. Number two, we need to acknowledge how bad this is, because if we just speak up for it, people will continue to do it because nothing happens. And also, it's just such a wild contrast for the little things that you can say to become un-American to people from this administration to what you can say and they'll just defend. It's nothing. It's nothing. It's just let the kids be the kid, let the boys be the boys, like I've been preached. Let the boys be the boys. It's weird. It's weird, but it's not unexpected. It speaks to how a lot of people from certain demographics feel in America. Take from that what you will. I'm not here to condemn people. No, I am actually. I'm condemning that, but I'm not here to be anybody's judge, jury, and executioner. That's what I mean. I am here to condemn it. I do not condone it. I condemn it. But this is the America that we are building. So hats off to you, maybe? I don't know. Next is Timbaland's AI artist. I don't know her name. I forgot it. She raps, she sings, she looks Asian, but she sounds black, but she doesn't necessarily sound black. She just sounds like she took from the culture. Yo, bro, I'm not messing with Timbaland. I'm not messing with Timbaland. I know you got to get your money, but there is selling out your culture. They're selling out your community. And as of now, that's what it looks like. I don't know if there's a master plan where he is looking to help people, but right now, this just looks like you are harming your community. And by your community, I don't just mean black people and hip hop. I mean your community, the creators, the creatives, the people who put time, money, blood, sweat into creating. And saying, hey, like, we're going to create this thing who can learn from all of this and put it into a nice shiny bow. And it'll never have the soul, right? Like, we don't have to argue about that. But it's just wild to me that a creator, a big influence, a big impactor in not just hip hop, or a person who's impacted not just hip hop, but pop and all types of genres would just like sell out the community in that way, man. It feels wrong. Like I said, maybe I'm wrong, right? Maybe more details will come from this where things come out and he was like Itachi Uchiha, right? Like it comes out he was trying to save the village. If you don't get that reference, go look it up. But maybe it'll come out that way. I don't think it is. I think that is nasty. I think that it'll take away from a lot of the artists who, with this new AI and all of this stuff that's going on, artists are going to suffer. I'm an artist, so I do take it to heart, but artists are going to suffer on so many levels. They already are, right? People who used to do album art, right? You can just go on. Hey, like, I want to even point out my own hypocrisy. Like, even my backdrop that I have here is made from Gemini. Like, you see what I'm saying? So, like, but to go that far is crazy. And like, so I don't even want to get up here and act like I'm holier than thou. Like, even I'll do it to a certain extent, but I think that this is wild. I do. I think that somebody was going to do it, right? Like, there's that side of things. Somebody was going to do it. Would we want somebody from our culture to be the one to do it? I think about that with so many things, with Nas, with the casino expansion, right? Somebody was going to do it. Do we want it in Nas's hands? Like, yeah, I do think we want it in Nas's hands, even if he's more of a face, but he has some type of influence. We don't know what his influence is, but yes, I think I do want it in his hands. So do I want it in Timbaland's hands? Maybe I do. If somebody's going to do it, do I want it in Jay-Z's hands to do, the stuff that he's trying to do? Maybe I do. Like, I don't know, because somebody's going to do it and we can't stop it. The most we can do is maintain a little bit of influence and control. So from that aspect, you know, I can maybe see it, but just in general, no, bro. Especially with him like taking the beat or the vocal from that artist or that producer on TikTok, and then like not even giving him credit. It's just stuff like that, right? Like if we're gonna trust this stuff to be in your hands, and we're gonna say somebody from our culture has to do it, because if not, somebody else that's not from our culture will, we need to be able to trust you to do right. And that's where I think we don't trust Timbaland maybe as a culture. Maybe we do. I don't know. You let me know. And then lastly on the list, just let me go down. This is engagement on videos. I got into a lot of back and forths with people about my last podcast and just posting the clips. And I just wanted to say, like, thank y'all, because that's what keeps me in the algorithm. If we're arguing, doing comments back and forth, like, I'm not going to get into an argument with nobody on their video, because that's not doing nothing for me necessarily. But if you want to argue on my video, we can have at it all day. We can go, 20, 30 comments, maybe not that many comments, right? Let's just be honest. I don't have that type of time, but it does give me engagement. So, thank you for the people who disagree with me and you come on and you say, hey, like, I disagree with you. Thank you for the people who seem a little racist. Yeah, because your stuff counts too. So bring it in. Y'all coming in telling me I'm this, I'm that. I like it. You like it. I love it. You like it, I love it. You see me in public, it's nothing, boy. Yeah, boy. But anyways, this has been another production from your boy. This is subject to change. You know why? You know why. I know you know why. Because nothing remains the same except everything is subject to change. I'm your host, Dane, and this is episode 2. Yeah, I can't wait to get. Let them motherfucking comments, boy.